Hey guys, Josh and Chris here, the brothers Boyd, and we are sitting with Stephen Powell, the host of Coastal Comic Con in Wilmington, North Carolina. It is coming in 9 days on March the 1st and 2nd, Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sunday from 11 to 5, and we're getting super excited for it. How about you, Stephen?
Oh yeah, when you're about a week or 2 weeks out, you kind of get those butterflies in your stomach because you've only got so many set days left to get everything done. But it's also kind of a good nervous energy because you've been planning something for a year, and this is when all the fruits of your labor start to pay off, and everybody gets to enjoy all the hard work that our teams put into the event. So I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, you know, uh, you're kind of also looking for the day after the con where you can just like now you got a whole other year to prep for next year. So
Oh yeah, yeah, we get that. We did our first one last year, and it was the day after. I was like, okay, we're not talking about the con, and it was what about 3 days before we started talking again about next year.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
something like that. Something like that. The wheels were spinning in the head, but the talking was kind of like, let's just kind of let it rest and enjoy what
Yeah.
we did do. So
If it makes you feel any better, I find that the same situations like for like that Monday after the show for about half the day, my mind's on other things, and then all of a sudden and then you start thinking about one or two things you could do to improve, or one or two things you could do differently. And then you kind of like, crap, I'm right back in the mindset again. But it's fun. I mean, let's be honest, it's pop culture stuff. People would much rather be talking about pop culture stuff than regular 9 to 5 stuff. So
Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely. And and just kind of a precursor, or I don't know what we call it, but we were there last year, and it was a great show. The first show, well put together. I really enjoyed it. You handled it very well. I think you had like a last minute dropout on you on a couple of your celebrities, but it was great. You filled those spots, and we had a really great time. And it looked very well attended. We were only able to come Saturday this year. We're looking forward to being there Saturday and Sunday with you, and I'm excited. So let's just kind of dive in and talk about what we can expect this year.
well, again, first of all, appreciate the nice comments about last year's show. So last year we found was a resounding success. So again, we were trying to bring something to the Cape Fear region that all the pop culture fans could appreciate, and because I didn't really think there were lots of other cons in the area, but I try to think I like to think that our team brings something a little bit different to the table. So we wanted to bring our expertise and our know-how to the Wilmington area because I'm from this area originally, and this is technically where was born and raised. So, but we're super excited for the 2025 show. We've got a lot of newer things this year because we've expanded. We're taking the entire convention center this year, whereas last year we only took a portion of it. You kind of have to grow into it because you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. Now that we've got a feel and a layout of the building, we kind of figured out, what might be some better use of some of the spaces, and also to help alleviate some of the traffic flow in the hallways to make it more easier to walk through. Because the good thing is it was very well attended. But the problem is sometimes you get everybody shows up at once, and you're trying to make sure everybody gets in a timely manner, but also too you don't want to get to the point where I've been to bigger shows where you're like shoulder to shoulder and you're trying to wedge your way through. But this year we're taking the entire building, and we're taking the entire grand ballroom, and we've going to have some additional space for. We're going to have a tabletop and board game room, which will be set up. One of our sponsors is Cape Fear Games, which is a local shop here in Wilmington that specializes in board games, Magic the Gathering, and all kinds of tabletop and card games. They'll be running tournaments. They'll be running Commander Series style pod playing Saturday and Sunday. There'll be Warhammer demos. There will be Pokemon card games. There will be Pokemon trading sessions, all kinds of good stuff that's going to be playing a part of the ballroom that was basically vacant last year. Of course, we're bringing back our VR experience, which we thought was a big hit last year. based off the feedback we got from attendees. So we'll have a VR space set up. And then, of course, retro style gaming, where you can play a lot of your old gaming systems like Super Nintendo, Atari, you name it. So there'll be a different group of games that are being brought this year for that room. So people can play some different stuff that they maybe not played in the last 15, 20 years. And then we've also added, last year we did a kids cosplay contest. This year we're going to have a kids cosplay contest and an adult cosplay contest. The adult cosplay contest will be Saturday. It'll run from 5 to 6. And the kids cosplay contest will be on Sunday from 4 to 5. So we've expanded the cosplay contest based off of the feedback and the demand that we got last year. So there'll be 2 days of a costume contest. I'd like to recognize our sponsor for the kids cosplay contest, which is the Chick-fil-A in Leland, right here across the river from Wilmington. So, yeah. And then, of course, we've got our celebrity guests. We got a packed room full of vendors and artists. Our celebrity guests this year, of course, we have 7. We've got Sam Witwer. Most people know him, of course, as Darth Maul. You know, he's a fantastic voice actor. But Sam's a walking encyclopedia. He knows probably more about Star Wars than any other person I've ever met. Like he can out nerd Dave Filoni is some of the other people that are in that space have said to me. But of course, he was also on camera. He was in I think it was Almost Human. He was in Battlestar Galactica. He was in The Mist. So he's a screen actor as well. Matthew Wood. Yeah. Smallville. Yeah. Smallville.
He was David Bloom.
There's so many credits you forget about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in Smallville. Yeah, that's correct. But he's just got so many great stories. He's a great storyteller, is what I like about Sam. And of course, he's got, most people are coming to see him for Darth Maul because he did such an iconic run for Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels. So, and then Matthew Wood, who is the voice of General Grievous from the movies and from the cartoons. Matthew is also most people don't realize he's actually an Academy Award nominated sound editor. He's worked on sound for major motion pictures, and he actually works for Lucasfilms. He works for George Lucas. So, but of course, General Grievous he was also Bib Fortuna in the Book of Boba Fett. But his main claim to fame is the voice of Grievous, which there are a lot of people who are excited about that because Grievous is a fan favorite. And then
I really like Grievous. He was one of my favorites. So
oh yeah. Especially some of those lightsaber battles when he's fighting Obi-Wan. I mean, it's to me what makes Star Wars is people talk about the heroes, but to me it's the villains. I'm a Maul, Vader guy, Cad Bane, General Grievous. You got to give me some good villains in order to make a franchise really stand out in my mind. So
exactly.
And then from the Marvel universe, we've got Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine from X-Men 97 and the original X-Men cartoon back in the 90s. They used to be on Fox Kids. They used to air on Fox. So, and then we got Matthew Watterson, who's the voice of Magneto from X-Men 97. And then Ross Marquand, who was from Walking Dead, but he was also the voice in X-Men 97 of Professor X and Apocalypse. So, go ahead.
Yeah, and he was the Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame. Yep.
Correct. Yes, he was the voice. Ross is, from what I've seen, he is a great impressionist. He can do a variety of impressions of people, but he is an extremely talented voice actor. And of course, most people know him from his character on The Walking Dead. I believe his character name was Andy. He was on for like 100 episodes. I forgot the character's name, but it's the one who had the big mace in his hand chopped off. He had the big ball and mace hand. I'm trying to think what his name was. I'm drawing a blank. I could see his face clear as day, but he was in over 100 episodes on The Walking Dead, which, if you're on The Walking Dead for that long, if you're not Rick
Grimes,
done
something,
yeah, you've done something, because they were killing off characters left and right. And then we've got Caitlin Robrock. She's the voice of Minnie Mouse. She's been the voice of Minnie Mouse for multiple years now. And then a late guest we added this past week was Sergeant Slaughter, WWE Hall of Famer. Sergeant Slaughter. So if you're a G.I. Joe fan or if you're a WWE fan, there's something for you there right there. But that's kind of a good, quick, summary of everything we've got going on this year. We were trying to take it up a notch from year one to year two, and I think we've done that. So,
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, the guest list is amazing. Sergeant Slaughter's a great guy. We've met him one time before at another show, so just a chance to talk to him again. And anybody that can get there should go meet him. He's one of the nicest guys. He might even put you in the Cobra Clutch if you ask him.
Yeah. See, I grew up in the watching on Saturdays and WWE and WCW. If you're in North Carolina, wrestling was a staple back in that decade. So and then of course when you got G.I. Joe, he was in G.I. Joe as Sergeant Slaughter. One of the few characters that actually portrayed his actual self. So I really liked the G.I. Joe movies. So when they did the whole little side story of when they had to send Falcon off to the slaughterhouse and Sergeant Slaughter had to whip him back into shape. So,
yeah.
Big fan of Sergeant Slaughter. So that was a last edition, little kind of surprise that came out of nowhere, but we were able to pull it off in a short amount of time. So
yes,
that's awesome.
Ross Marquand's character name was Aaron on The Walking Dead, so I believe
Aaron. That's what his name was.
Yep.
Aaron.
Aaron. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
thanks for looking that up, Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Because I was slipping my mind. I keep wanting to call him like Andy or something, but Aaron is correct. Yep. But so again, we're excited. We think it's going to be a pretty good step up from our game from last year. There's, like I said, we're taking the entire building. There's more attractions, more things to see, more things to do. So it should be a great time. We have some, of course, our tickets our Saturday ticket is $30. Our 2-day ticket's $35, and our Sunday ticket is $20. But this year we also have a VIP ticket, which is $75. But with that ticket, you get a T-shirt, our con exclusive T-shirt. You get a VIP exclusive badge and lanyard. You get half-hour early admittance into the actual event. So on Saturday, you'll get in at 9:30 as opposed to 10. And then Sunday, you'll get in at 10:30 as opposed to 11. And I'm trying to think and then our 4 exclusive posters, which I actually happen to have a set right here, which I don't know if you guys have seen these.
We have not.
These are yeah.
These are our 4 exclusive posters. The artwork is done by Angela McKendrick. She's been our poster designer for probably the last 8-9 years. The first one is Link from The Legend of Zelda. All our posters are double-sided just to make them a little additional quality to them. So Link is the first one.
Very cool.
Colossus,
yep.
Man.
Yeah.
So one of my personal favorites.
Skeletor.
Skeletor, that's amazing.
You see the Masters of the Universe behind.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Motu fan, so Motu is my genre. And last but not least,
Indy, that is amazing.
Some great artwork.
Yeah,
I love
Angela, if you ever get a chance, if you want to go find her artwork, it's Cuddles with Kittens, but she's got hundreds of different art, a variety of styles, but her artwork is amazing.
Nice.
So so we've always been lucky to work with Angela. So I always want to give her a shout out whenever I can. But those are our 4 exclusive posters this year. So everybody gets a VIP ticket, gets the set of posters along with the other things that I mentioned.
That's awesome. That's a great deal. I mean, if you look at it, when you're going to these shows, to get in that 30 minutes early and get that run through there before the huge crowd gets in there is great. And plus all the other perks that go with it. That's amazing. Yeah.
When we do our packages, we always try to build value. I try to make sure that anytime we put something out there to the general public that's got value to it. So we try to make sure all our prices are affordable. Because again, I've got 3 children, and I know what it's like to go somewhere and you're trying to take a family of 4 or a family of 5. So we try to make sure that if we do anything, there's a lot of value built into it, which is why we put a lot of money and resources into our attractions. So when you buy your ticket to get in, you get The VR experience is free. Retro gaming is free. All the panels are free. The board game room is free. So it's pretty much a full packed day of just entertainment.
I like it.
That
I
is
like
the
it.
way to go.
So let's talk about vendor wise. Can you give us like an approximate number of about how many vendors?
I would say somewhere in the ballpark of, I don't know the exact count off the top of my head, but I'd say somewhere like 120 to 140
Okay.
vendors and artists. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking
Um,
at the list right now, and it's a pretty big list.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And we
Yeah.
try to diversify our vendor group because we've got vendors coming from far and wide. So they're not just North Carolina vendors. And again, don't be wrong. I like to make sure that we have a good representation of local and North Carolina vendors in there. But we've got vendors from South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana. I got people traveling across the Mississippi to come to this event. So I'm trying to give the people who come to our shows a fresh list of vendors that they can see. So
I know I can speak. I know I can speak for Josh a lot of times around here because I mean in the New Bern area when we travel around, if we do like a comic show, if we keep getting the same group of comic vendors every time, you've dug through their boxes before. So
yeah,
having that fresh crop of vendors to see what they have to offer is nice. So
correct. Because
yeah,
again, if somebody came last year, you want to make sure there's a reason to keep them coming back.
yeah.
So you got to have different things. You got new vendors, new attractions, new guests. So we always are very cognitive of the fact that we want to change things up year after year so it doesn't get stale.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, i- it's a great. I love the convention center. It's a nice. It was really nice inside when we were there last year. Beautiful view out there to the water from the back there. I mean, you can see, you know. So I like that, and I like the fact that the show is family friendly. You can just, from a 5-year-old on up. I mean, if you're pushing them around in a stroller, that's fine. Bring them too, because yeah, you know,
Yep.
you
Yep.
got to start that love for all things pop culture at a very young age, and just keep growing it as it goes. So,
Yeah. And I think too, I think one of the things we really try to make sure that we nail is we try to have something for everybody. So there'll be things there for dad, there'll be things there for mom, there'll be things there for if you've got a daughter or a son. There's something for a variety of age groups, which is so which is so great about pop culture. It's multi-generational at this point. We're talking about Motu, we're talking about things that have been around for 40 years. I'm 48 now, and I remember as a kid, it's still as fresh as day. I remember getting home from school and turning the TV on and trying to find Masters of the Universe, and then you're
yep,
trying to fix the rabbit ears to make sure it
yep,
doesn't.
Yep.
yep. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and falling back on the wrestling too. I remember staying up late. It might have how often it might not. It didn't happen all the time, but you would get Saturday night's main event
Yeah.
instead of Saturday Night Live, and those were the
Yeah.
best Saturday nights ever.
Ever. Well, I don't know if you noticed, they just brought that back.
I
Yeah.
did. I saw they
They
brought it back.
just
So
they just brought it back. They brought it back in December, and they brought another one back in January. And from what I understand, I think it's TKO, which is the company that bought WWE. Part of their strategy now is to bring that back in kind of that December through the summer months when a lot of the major sports programming, like all the college football's off, all the NFL's over with, the NBA's over with. So they're going to bring back Saturday Night Live or Saturday Night Main Event. So
Nice.
they've already had two of them.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
awesome.
mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it
It
worked
ain't broke,
before.
don't fix it. Now, if they could only find a way to bring back Saturday morning cartoons, if they could find a way, then I'd be a happy
Yeah,
camper.
yeah. Well, we do have Me Tunes now. We can go to that channel and watch it. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean, with the streaming and all, man, we watch whatever we want to when we want to. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is kind of nice. But there's something to be said too, Josh, about the appointment TV though. Like if you knew you had to wake up at a certain time in order to catch,
Oh
I
yeah.
remember
yeah,
waking up early on Saturday morning. And I'd wake up at you'd wake up at like 6 a.m. when I was young, and of course I was full of energy. You wake up at 6 a.m. and you're like, oh crap, I got to sit through 2 to 3 hours of the older cartoons before Spider-Man and his amazing friends would come on, or the Mr. T or the Smurfs. all the things that were the main staples.
You know,
But
what's cool about everything now is there's a lot of stuff on YouTube and online where you can go on and pull up video, and it's the full run, like from a Saturday morning back in the day with commercials and
everything, yeah.
I love to just
Yeah.
watch it. I know
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, they released the '80s Ninja Turtles. They put it on streaming finally, and
Oh,
we got
okay.
up one Saturday morning and grabbed bowls of cereal and sat down on the couch and watched the original Ninja Turtles.
Turtles, yeah. Just something about that time, man, was special. And it's one of those things you don't realize what you got until it's gone. You're like, ah. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. And that's the beauty of we grew up in that era and we got to do it. And now we kind of get to share that joy that we had through these conventions and stuff, and giving the people that excitement, the 8 or 9 year old that's running around now, we can introduce them to what we, grew up with,
yeah,
like with the Motu and the Batman and the Amazing Spider-Man, because
GI Joe, Transformers, yeah.
yep, yep,
At our last event, the event we just had in Columbia in August, we had Peter Cullen was one of our headliners, who's the voice of Optimus Prime, right?
yeah,
So one of those really special moments that I saw firsthand was literally 3 generations. It was a grandfather, a son, and a grandson all came to see Peter Cullen because they were all fans of Optimus Prime.
yeah.
I had never seen 3 generations come for one guest.
That's
And
amazing.
the grandfather said, I remember as a dad, I'd have my son there for Saturday morning or for the cartoons in the afternoon, and we watched Transformers again. It was something we bonded over. And he said that it was really a special moment for me when my son took that tradition that we had, and then he did it with his son. So they would watch old cartoons or even some of the newer stuff, and they were all 3 big, massive Transformers fans. And when they got to meet Peter firsthand, it was, there was some tears in some eyes. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
yeah.
That is awesome.
yeah, he is one of the greats.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. I've been running shows for a little over a decade now, and he's one of my personal favorites that I've ever seen. As
Nice.
far as just how he treats people, he treats everybody. He gives everybody their time and their moment, which was really nice. And he's very appreciative of his fans.
Nice.
Now,
Yeah.
we mentioned, Stephen, the gaming room and the VR and all that stuff. I didn't get
Mhm.
how the VR last year, so with us being there 2 days this year,
Yeah.
got to get in there and do some VR and video
You
art.
got to do some VR, man. I think
Yeah.
there's even some
That
things
will
they've
make
got set up where you can
hilarious
compete.
I also see that you've got a few, not a lot, but a few panels for the weekend.
We do. We
which is
do.
great. It's not oversaturated, so you don't have to worry about missing one to get to another.
Correct. You
Yeah.
want to kind of make sure that everybody has enough time to hit them, and we try to make sure we keep them concise, about 45, 50 minutes with a little bit of pad, about 10 minutes in between. Because again, if you don't want to feel like you're rushing from one, if you ever go to Disney World, you feel like you're always rushing to get to one spot to the next, right? So the great thing is that convention center is small enough where you can go from the exhibit hall to the panel room relatively quickly. But again, you want to make sure you don't super saturate the day so you miss something. So, but yes, we try to make sure we keep the panels tight and concise, but also space them out enough where you can hit them all if you wanted to.
Right. And what I'm seeing for Saturday, I'm seeing 3 panels plus the cosplay competition.
Yeah.
Sunday we have 2 panels and the children's cosplay competition.
I believe that's correct. Yep.
So if you're a fan of Minnie Mouse, you can go meet her at 1:30 for a panel, an afternoon with Disney's original princess.
Yep.
At 2:30, it says I can see him in my mind's eye, Jedi Scum. Now, can you tell me who's speaking at that one? Is that Sam?
That is Sam.
Sam. Yeah.
It's Sam, because that's actually the line from, I don't know if you remember that episode in Rebels, but when Spoiler alert for those of you who have not watched Rebels.
And
Stop
why
here.
haven't you if you haven't?
If you haven't, it's at this point it's like 6 or 7 years old. So shame on you. So spoiler alert. If you haven't, that's a reference to the episode where Darth Maul is in the desert, and I think it's Twin Sons is the name of the episode.
Yeah.
That's the famous one where he's wandering through the desert, and he eventually finds Obi-Wan, and they have their famous last duel.
Yeah.
And that's where Darth Maul kind of stumbles upon the fact that Obi-Wan is there guarding the chosen one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before he finds him, he's having like a mental breakdown in the desert, and he's envisioning, he goes, Obi-Wan, I can see him in my mind. And then Sam does that iconic scream that he goes, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
So if we're lucky, I can maybe get Sam to do it, but he said it really tears his throat up when he has to hit that high pitch.
Yeah.
So because he'll get people asking my all the time, can you do this? Do the scream, do the scream. So, that's Sam's panel. And the one thing I'll tell you is I sat through one of Sam's panels back in August because he was at one of our other shows. He's a phenomenal speaker, great storyteller. He's got a lot of insight. He really has a lot of good details about Darth Maul's psychology, but not just Darth Maul. We completely forgot about Starkiller.
Yes.
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed.
Starkiller.
Secret Apprentice.
Darth Vader's apprentice, his secret apprentice. So there's a funny story about how he even got that role. Like he had a friend of his that was in casting, and his friend said, "Hey, send me a headshot." And he's like, "What for?" He says, "Just do me a favor, just trust me, send me a headshot." And his friend just slid it in the audition thing for Starkiller, and he read for it. He got the part because his friend, thought he had the look to be Starkiller Vader's secret apprentice. So the Force Unleashed for the video game, for those of you who haven't played it.
Yes. Yeah, the first one's great. I beat the first one. I have never actually beat the second one. I need to go back and play that one. The first one was a lot of fun.
I can't believe if this is correct or not, but I think I've heard they're trying to make a third.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So, but we completely stepped over that. It's Starkiller from Force Unleashed. So
if you're coming to the con, there's some ideas for you, some things to get signed. You can bring a Rebels copy of Rebels on Blu-ray, or you can get your Force Unleashed video game signed.
Yeah. Or Clone Wars or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
They did write a novel for the game because I remember reading that when it first came out.
Yeah.
At 3:30, we have To Me, My X-Men.
So, of course, that's our panel that's going to have the X-Men guests. It'll have Cal and Matthew in there. I believe Ross is also scheduled for that one, too, since he's Professor X. But I think he's got a Walking Dead panel to talk about at a different time, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, Cal's a great guy. We, again, had him at another show. And once you get a feel for certain guests, so like this guy is electric, you want to bring them to other places so people can experience it. But Cal, when he goes into that voice, you're like, oh man, that's Wolverine. So
it's nice. Yeah, Josh, we're definitely going to have to slip into some of these panels and check them out. Yeah.
Well, now the last one on Saturday is 5:00. That's the cosplay contest, and you've got a limit of 50 participants in that.
Correct. That's the adult cosplay contest, which is new this year. So what we try to do anytime we start anything new, we try to keep it manageable until we have the ability to grow it, because you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. So we're going to keep it to 50 for the first year, see what the participation is like, to see the response. We had a ton of response already, but there's only 50 slots. So if you've got a costume, or if you know somebody that you think would be a good fit for this, register early, because there is a cutoff time. It's listed on the website, but there's a strict cutoff time because we have to get everybody in line, get them organized in order to get them up on stage in time.
Nice. And that's it for Saturday. On Sunday, I'm looking at the list, and you mentioned the Walking Dead. That's at 1:00. I survived
there it is.
The zombie apocalypse. Let me tell you how.
That's with Ross.
Yes.
And Ross is a great speaker. He is a natural storyteller. He's very similar to Sam. He's got a lot of little anecdotes and little interesting stories about his time working on the Walking Dead. Plus, doing the voice of Red Skull in Infinity War and
Yeah.
doing all these. He was the voice of also Ultron
Yes.
from What If.
Yeah, that's right.
He was also in Invincible. He was what was his name? The guy with the beard.
Yeah, I haven't
The
watched the
Infinite
new
Man or
season yet.
something. Yeah, he was one
Yeah.
of the guys in Invincible, which I have not watched that show yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I wanted to I've seen some clips here and there, but I've never had a chance to really dive deep into that show yet.
I've seen season 1. Season 1 was really good. I have not jumped back and watched the other seasons yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Robert Kirkland is a great writer, so I think if everything I've heard and the pieces that I have seen seems like he's hit that franchise out of the park. So,
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. It's a superhero show, but it's like the Kirkman writing a superhero show. What you
yeah,
come to expect with the gore from The Walking Dead, you
yeah.
throw into a superhero show, and it works. So yeah.
Then at 2:00, we have a panel called I Am Sam. I would assume that's Sam Witwer as well.
That's Sam Witwer. I think actually that was Sam Witwer. I think the other one, well, I don't know. I think Sam's on both days. I take that back. I think Sam's on both days. So there's another chance to meet Sam. I think also that one on Saturday is going to have Matthew in it, Matthew Wood,
Gotcha.
who's Grievous. So I'm trying to remember the panel just from memory, but yeah, Sam I believe is on both days, and Matthew's on Saturday along with Sam.
Okay. Nice.
And then at 4:00, we have the children's cosplay contest, and it is also limited to 50 participants.
50, yep. Last year, the kids cosplay contest was excellent. There were some phenomenal costumes. I mean, it basically it filled up pretty quickly. So if you've got a child that you're trying to get into that this year, do it sooner rather than later. You can either register online or you can register there at the event. But there is a specific cutoff time if you just follow the instructions, or just go to the information booth once you get there. But there's only 50 slots for the kids, but every kid gets a prize. So, and then we have our top 3 prize winners for kids and adults.
Awesome. So we got adult cosplay, children's cosplay. We've got retro reaction. We've got Cape Fear games. So you can play board games, card games, video games. I mean, you could hang out
VR.
VR, hang out all day and find something to do. I'm looking at this list that Cape Fear Games can't put out. They're going to have something going all day long. Between
all day long.
Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, board game spotlights. Sunday, they're going to be painting dice. You can paint and take dice. They're doing learn to play One Piece, learn to play Warhammer. I mean, they're going to have it all. The only thing I don't see is my favorite.
Yeah, there's like I said, you hit the nail on the head. They're going to be doing stuff all day long for both days. And for those people who've never tried maybe like One Piece or Warhammer, here's your chance just to go in and just dip your toes into it. They have people that are experts in the game that will teach you just kind of a basic level tutorial. Plus, if you feel like you want to do something a little bit more higher level, they're going to be doing commander pods for Magic the Gathering, and there'll also be some Pokemon.
Nice.
Yep.
They've got it all set up and ready. And I love the fact like your video game room is not just modern. It's everything.
It's everything. So our connection on that, the guy we use for that does a phenomenal job. He has a variety of stuff he's been collecting for years. And again, what I always appreciate about him is the fact that he brings new stuff to the table every single year. He could easily just do the same thing, but he is constantly trying to find new ways to make it fresh, make it different, and bring games that people may not have played before or haven't played in a very long time.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, and he's got the Genesis, Saturn, and Dreamcast from Sega. I,
That's
I had
awesome.
a Dreamcast.
Yeah,
Love that thing. That thing was a lot of fun.
yeah.
Some
Oh
weird
yeah,
games on it though.
yeah, yeah,
Some strange stuff, but it was fun.
yeah. I never was fortunate enough to have any of the Genesis because I was more of a Nintendo guy myself. I was the original NES, the Super Nintendo, and then the Nintendo 64. But there was some great games on those as well. But I've always been, there was a kid in the neighborhood next to where I used to live, and he had a Genesis. So on Saturday, we'd always have to bike over to his house and sit down and
Nice.
play for a couple hours.
Nice.
Well,
I
well,
think
you,
I had everything at one time. I would buy systems. I think I even had the Sega CD one time. I mean
yeah,
so we
yes.
roll with that.
You had the Sega CD and the 32X, Chris, because I remember sitting in your room and playing that sewer rat game where you
Yeah, I was gonna
rode the
say,
sewer and shot at the rats.
yeah, yeah. The two games I remember from that system were the sewer rat game, and there was a cliffhanger game, the Sylvester
Yeah,
Stallone movie. We had a cliffhanger
yeah.
game that you could play. So yeah, yeah. So let's one thing I wanted to mention. I know we talked about there's 120 vendors. For those attending, you know, I love the vendors. The vendors are awesome at all conventions. I love the art vendors. I love the comic vendors and everything. Um, I, you know, I know Stephen would agree. You know, when you compliment those artists, it means the world to them to see you compliment them and their work they do because they work hard to create that art and stuff. And when you buy it, it's like even better for them because I mean, you appreciate their work enough that you actually, grabbed a piece of their artwork and you're going to hang it in your home or something. So,
Absolutely. And sometimes
yeah,
you'll just see a piece of art that, you'll see somebody's interpretation of a character or a franchise that you may not have thought of, and you see, and you're like, wow, that one just speaks to you, and you got to have it.
yeah,
That's how I was able to actually find Angela when she did these. I found
nice.
her artwork at a show almost 9, 10 years ago. And this is how we got started using her to do all of our posters because I saw her art at a booth, at a vendor's booth, and I was like, who did that? So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
but
love good artwork. I mean, I have it displayed. You can see, barely see, but above my head, there's a Drew Draws. I don't know if you know him, but a little mini He-Man he did. Um,
okay.
and then I've got several artists. I have their artwork over on my other wall. I got a couple of them that did like a Dark Crystal and a Neverending Story artwork I bought.
Oh yeah.
It's up in my classroom because I have a fantasy type classroom at school. So I have those hanging on the wall in my classroom. That artwork.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it's amazing too, because when you put the art in your wall, it's like you can always get that appreciation every time you look at it, whether it be the way they drew something or the shading or the composition. But if you get a good piece of art, it pays dividends for long, long time after you paid for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and there's some great artists. I'm looking at the list of the people who are going to be there, and there's some great artists going to be there. I see collectibles, I see games. I'm looking at the list of all these people, whatever you're into, whether it's anime, there's trading cards, there's going to be a little bit of everything there, man. You've done a great job putting a group together.
Yeah, we try, like I said, we always try to diversify the room so that way it's not super saturated with one or two different types of genres. Because again, you want to make sure that no matter who comes, whether it be dad, mom, the kids, grandparents, uncles, aunts, you want to make sure you got something there for everybody, which is what we try to pride ourselves on.
And that's the way it should be. It's a pop culture convention, and you make sure you cover everybody because everybody has like a different fandom. I know Josh is a Motu guy. I'm a Batman guy. I love Batman. Can't
Yeah.
tell. I mean, I got all behind me and stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, um, I'm an
Batman's on
art
the
guy
other
too.
side of you.
What's that?
The Batman's on the other side of you. If you spin a little bit, he's right behind you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, there he is right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, see, this is my Motu corner. Over there is my Superman corner. I've got a Zelda section over there. I've got Ninja Turtles over here. So it's all around the room.
I hear you bragging. You actually have a room. All I got is a front porch.
It makes you feel any better. All I got's a closet, man. My
Yeah,
wife just
well,
I try to put
well,
my
I mean,
stuff up
I
and
did upgrade. I used to just have a shelf in the dining room. Now I've got at least a little bit of a room I can work in. So um, but I also have a 19 and a 21-year-old. Eventually, one of them will move out, and then I can just take over their room.
there you go. It's
Yeah,
like just buying your time here.
yeah. Awesome. Hey, Josh, do you have any more, like anything else we want to talk about? Do you think I'm trying to make sure we hit everything. What about food, and parking? Let's talk about that a little bit.
So food concessions is run by the convention center. So the one thing is we tried to do this year, because last year we knew concessions was a little bit of a let's just be honest, it was a little bit of a cluster. Just because of how many people were there.
Yeah.
And then we tried to work with the convention center. I think the plan we've come up with this year will help alleviate a lot of the problems with getting food quicker this year. We've also got places set aside where there's actually going to be tables set up so people can actually sit down at a table with your food. So that way, if you need a break, if you're walking from the exhibit hall from the panel room and you get some food, there'll actually be tables and high tops set up along the concourse and in part of the ballroom. You can just sit down and decompress and just eat, pace yourself, and you're like, okay, all right, tap me back in. I'm going back in. So
Yeah.
So that way we want to make sure there's more space for people just to kind of pull themselves out of the traffic load, because, when you go to enough shows, as you guys know, it can be sensory overload.
Yeah.
It's hard to it's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm, drinking out of a fire hose with all the things I'm seeing and the things I want to buy. And, sometimes you need to pull yourself back, sit down, recharge your batteries, and then you get back into your fandom. So, but there'll be places for people who can sit down. There'll be multiple food concession places, points where you can get food or drinks. So that way it kind of cuts the line and divvies things up. So that way there's not one big bottleneck where people are trying to get food. We really made a point trying to work with the convention center to solve that problem, especially based off of last year. So, but as you know, anytime you're doing a new event, new venue, you have to work through the problems and try some things and see what works best. So
Gotta work
Yeah,
through
but the beauty of it is you don't even have to leave the convention center. You can stay right there and eat.
stay
And
right there and eat. So, and the food actually, I've eaten enough convention center food in my life to choke a horse, but their food's actually not bad. The chicken tenders and other things were solid. So, again, there'll be multiple stations set up and there'll be places to sit down. So hopefully there'll be more apt to handle the crowd this year.
Yes. Good. Now we get into another thing, Chris. We know Stephen's not running this all by himself. He's got volunteers here to help, right?
Correct.
Are
Yes.
you full with volunteers?
We could take a couple more. We have our core group of volunteers that we bring with us from show to show, about 12 to 13 people that are they work with us at every single event. They're kind of like our key staffers.
Yeah.
Then we have a small select group of volunteers that show up, and we kind of weed through the process of who can do the tasks we need, because we really try to make sure that we get people that know how to deal with people and customer experience. We have a couple more slots for volunteers we could probably take on Sunday, but I think Saturday we're close to being good. But other than that, maybe a couple more volunteers and we'll be plentiful. So
and they can check on the website for that if they'd like.
Correct. Yeah.
Volunteer.
Or just email info at coastalcomiccon.com, or you could even email Amy, because Amy's our volunteer coordinator. You can email Amy at coastalcomiccon.com.
Awesome. Right. So guys, check that out. If you've never been or want to be a volunteer, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In there, get to enjoy the show and work it a little bit. And
we always try to take care of our volunteers too. So we feed them, they get t-shirts, and there's some other perks that we always kind of keep on the back end for our volunteers. So volunteers get some additional love on the back end.
Awesome. Yeah. So check that one out if you're interested and in the Wilmington area for that weekend.
Yeah.
We've covered guests. We've talked about vendors. We've done the schedule. contest, volunteers. I think we've covered everything, Stephen.
I've actually got two more things for you.
All
Okay.
right, go for it.
One thing I forgot to mention, we're actually this year going to do a pre-con mixer before the show. Friday night.
Okay.
We're going to do it at Waterline Brewery, which is the brewery right underneath the Cape Memorial Bridge. If you've ever been to Wilmington, know where it is. But from 6 till whenever they shut the doors, we're going to do a pre-con mixer. I'll be there. The other show promoter, Donald Brock, will be there. A lot of our staff and key volunteers will be there. A lot of vendors will be there. But it's a good time to actually get to intertwine and mingle with the staff and people who actually run the shows and the other vendors, have conversations. Chick-fil-A, which is our sponsor, will be set up there selling food. And then, of course, there's plenty. If you're a beer drinker, Waterline's got some fantastic beer on tap. So there's some of the
They
best
do.
beer
I've
you
had
get
it.
on-
Their coffee beer is amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
My wife is a big fan of their Gozas, a little more the sour beer, but yeah, their coffee beer is fantastic. I mean, the Hef's really good. If you're a beer lover, it's a really good spot to go. So, but we'll be doing a mixer there that Friday, the 28th, starting at 6 p.m., going until they shut the doors that evening.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, and we might have a couple little door prizes, some little things, and that we're going to have for people who attend. So we can put people's names in a hat. So if you're free that Friday night, come on out.
Awesome.
And I said there was two things.
Yeah,
I said there was two things.
Yeah.
Now I can't go into great detail on this last one, but as they said, as a show promoter once told me, he says you always want to leave them wanting more. So as soon as we're done with this Zoom call, I've got to work on a contract that we've just got a verbal confirmation for a pretty big headliner for next year's show here in Wilmington.
Wow.
And it will probably be one of the biggest guests that anybody has ever seen in this region, period.
Nice.
Wow.
So we're trying to take it up a notch each year.
Yep.
And when people see this guest who we've got coming, there's gonna be some people whose minds are gonna get blown.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So keep
So-
an
Very
eye on the Coastal Comic Con website for that information. And there's
I can't say the name until we eventually got the ink on the contract, but got the verbal confirmation today. Got to work up the contract and get it signed. And once that's done, then we're free to announce. But until that happens, I can't say anything, but I promise you, it is worth the wait.
awesome.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And
Very cool.
Yeah, I was going to say one last thing. And then one other thing for those who don't know, we also have our two other events. If people want to get the chance to check out some of our other events, we have Soda City Comic Con, which is in Columbia. This is the third weekend in August. And our brand new show, which is going to be in Myrtle Beach. It'll be October 4th and 5th, which is Boardwalk Comic Con, which will be at the Convention Center at Myrtle Beach this year. So that's our next new event, which will be this October. And we're going all out for that one. That one will be, Columbia right now is our flagship event. It does over 10,000 people a year. Wilmington is quickly getting there. We haven't hit 10,000 people yet this year. Who knows? Tickets are selling faster this year than last year. So I think we'll have a huge increase as far as attendees for Coastal this year. But then Boardwalk, our Myrtle Beach show, could be our biggest event. So, because we're pulling out all the stops for year one for that show.
Awesome.
So, just something to keep on your back of your radar.
Hey, anytime I can go to Myrtle Beach, I'll take that chance. Awesome.
All right,
Awesome. Well, we're super excited. It's only 9 days away, like Josh said, March 1st and 2nd in Wilmington. We're ready to go check everything, see all the vendors and meet all the guests and just talk to you in person again like we did last year. I know we'll have 2 days this year. We'll have some more interaction, but we're excited. I know you're excited. It was a great show last year. I know it's going to be a great show this year. So,
oh yeah, I'm excited.
We appreciate it. We're excited.
I'm
What'd you say, Josh?
I'm excited to meet Sam. Sam, I mean, even coming from You know, my wife watched the Being Human where he was the ghost, but I was a fan from Smallville when he showed up, and then
Yeah.
you know, all those things he's done just
Yeah.
enjoying that he pops up.
Yeah.
Wilmington Convention Center, 10 Convention Center Drive, Wilmington, North Carolina, 28401. It's the address for those of you who need it. March 1st and 2nd. Tickets are still on sale. 2-day tickets are $35. Includes free admission for children 5 and under with a paid adult. 1-day tickets are $30 Saturday, $20 Sunday. VIPs are $75, and you still have VIPs available?
A small amount.
Right.
The VIPs have sold extremely quickly. So if you want a VIP ticket, I would tell you, do not wait. There are probably less than 25 left, and they're gone.
And those VIPs include a t-shirt, a badge, and lanyard, the Coastal Comic-Con posters, and it says guaranteed seating at all panels.
Correct.
So
that was one thing I didn't mention. I forgot to mention earlier because the panel room is only so big. And if you've got a VIP ticket, you're guaranteed a seat. So I would expect some of these panels to have standing room only. Because I've seen Sam when he does a panel, and I've seen Matthew when they do a panel, and I've seen Cal when they do a panel. People show up. So make sure if you don't have a VIP ticket, you get you a seat in those panel rooms early.
Oh, I've seen Sam's line at other conventions, and I've never been able to get to him to meet him. So I hope, you know, I can get to him this weekend at this one.
Yeah.
He's a big draw. And then the last thing it says, kids ages 6 to 12 get in for $5.
$5.
Bring the kids.
We try to make it extremely affordable for bring the kids out. You have kids 5 and under for free with a paid adult ticket, and then you got 6 to 12, which are $5. We try to make it really affordable for families. So we try to make sure the kids' tickets is extremely cheap.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
According to the website right now, while we're recording, it's 9 days, 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 44 seconds away. Now, it'll be even closer when you watch this because I got to edit it down tomorrow.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on the VIP tickets because
don't sleep on them because when they're gone, they're gone. I've only got so many posters and t-shirts allotted for it. So when they're gone, they're gone.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. Now, real quick, one last thing on those posters while I'm thinking about it. You know, you're going to have them for the VIPs. They will be available at the show.
We have a small run of them that if you want to buy the set of the show, they're $10 and you get the set of 4. You can buy them at the show. That's why supplies last.
Okay.
Because we try to make sure that if we do things for VIPs, we try to make things exclusive because last year we sold out of everything. So if you want posters, make sure you can buy them online right now. Still available online. So you can get them for $10 when you buy a ticket. Or if you get your VIP, you get a poster then too.
Nice. Okay.